heard you found somebody new. Looks like the past been good to you. Good days are gone, and I can't move on quite as easy as you do. Looks like the past been good to you. I've been hurting since you walked out.
Hello everyone, this is Frank George welcoming you to the Protection Project, where we discuss all things relating to, well, our safety and our well-being, particularly here in the United States of America, where our nation is under siege. Indeed it is. It is under siege by communists, illegal aliens being brought in by communists, a Republican Party that doesn't really represent Republicans, and a Democrat Party that really represents nobody but Marxists and saboteurs. So it's a special time in our nation's history, and there are lots of people who are on the right side of things. I myself, for example, have rallied against illegal immigration for many, many years to no good end, because you see what's happened. It's worse than it ever has been, because all along the problem has been a government that does not work for the people, but rather for special interests. I want to share with you my particular point of view. What is presented the American people is that we are a constitutional representative republic. I have come to the conclusion that that is just the curtain, and we're not allowed to see what's behind it. What is behind the curtain is the United States is really a business being run by a few powerful elites and interests against the wishes and the well-being of the American people, who have been taken for fools for many, many years. However, that particular problem has become so bad that the corruption is obvious, and a lot of people understand that this is not a constitutional representative republic. It is a tyranny by the few on behalf of the few for the benefit of the few, and screw everybody else. Well, we have more numbers than they do. And when it comes to this issue of illegal immigration, we know that there are entities that really are affecting the great replacement theory, as they say, because they have brought in so many illegals during Joe Biden's 3 years of his presidency that some say it's up to 10 million. That's just him bringing them in. We don't know how many gotaways they have, and we've never really known how many are within the country, although the fake news has always said 11 to 12 million, and they keep doing that year after year after year, and a person would have to be utterly stupid to believe that. Guesses are that there are 40, maybe even 50 million. Then add these other 10 million, you got 60 million. We don't know how many getaways they have. Now, among these numbers, we don't know how many terrorists are there waiting to slit our throats and to cause damage to the American people. And there is the heartfelt and I think wise belief that before the election takes place here in 2024, the deep state, on behalf of the elites that run the country, will do something so bad that it will affect the outcome of the election, because the bad guys cannot allow Donald Trump to become president of the United States. So it is believed that everything is on the table, including the assassination of Donald Trump. And that's a very dark thing to have to contemplate, but it is a reality. There are people who are trying to do their damnedest to get information for us for what is happening on the border, and who have done so for many, many years. There's a group called Arizona Border Reconnaissance, run by Mr. Tim Foley, who is the operations manager, I think he calls himself, and he's been doing that work for 14 years. It's, I think, a thankless task, unless it's people like us who thank those brave men out there of the Arizona Border Reconnaissance for the work that they're doing, because they really can show you what's going on. They use cameras and things to record activity out there in the desert. They interface with Border Patrol. They have boots on the ground. They really know what's going on, and the areas that they cover are areas that are not the normal place even for illegal aliens to cross. It's dangerous. Drug cartel people, illegal aliens armed with AK-47s. There's all kinds of stuff. What is going on in our country is unbelievable. Personally, I have seen that Congress has failed to do anything about this invasion of the United States for about 30 years or so. The last person to effectively address the issue was President Eisenhower, who initiated what he called Operation Wetback, and he shipped back more than 1 million illegal aliens south of the border. Since that time, we've never seen anything like that. Nothing of the sort has happened. Now, Donald Trump says that if he does indeed become president, we're going to see the greatest mass deportation in the history of the United States, or maybe even the world. Who knows? And there is reason to doubt him, because in his first term, he didn't do it. Outright, he didn't do it. Why? I don't know why he didn't do it. Fact is, he didn't do it. There are people saying he won't do this. This is just something that he's talking about. I don't know. I will vote for Donald Trump. I like Donald Trump. But if Donald Trump becomes president, he better do it, because if he doesn't deport these people, it is the end of the United States. Ours will be a culture that will be overwhelmed by many other different cultures, and America will cease to exist as what it once was. And I don't wish anybody any harm. I know that among some of those people that came over illegally, there are some good folks with good hearts who have a genuine need, but we can't do this. We can't do this. It is the end of our country if this is allowed to continue. Anyway, let's get on with our discussion with Mr. Tim Foley of Arizona Border Reconnaissance. Tim Foley, how are you?
Doing good. How about yourself?
Hey, I'm all right, but I'm very disturbed by what's happening with our border and the federal government actually aiding and abetting bringing in illegal aliens with my money over that border. I had considered going down to Arizona and taking a look for myself, but I've been there many times. You see it all the time. You are the founder of Arizona Border Recon, and of course you're their field ops director. And you guys are a non-government organization. Tim, how long have you been doing this, and why did you start this?
This is my 14th year, and I started it because I got tired of the lies being told by the media and the government at that time, which was Obama. And don't worry, they're coming and doing jobs Americans won't do, and don't worry, it's safe and secure. Well, I was the number 3 man building high-rises, so I was running 150 men, and 75% of them couldn't speak English, and then every week we would do a safety meeting with my foremans, and we'd be missing half a dozen to a dozen guys, and it's like, well, what happened? Well, E-Verify caught them. 3 weeks later, those same guys would show up on the job, and I was going, what the heck is going on? Well, we decided to take a couple of weeks off, and then we got another fake ID, and we paid the union, the $50, and it's going to take them another three to 6 months to find out we're not supposed to work here. So I was under the impression that E-Verify, once they found out you weren't allowed to work in the country, that they would deport you. Mm-hmm. But E-Verify, all it says is, you can't work here, but it's okay if you hang out here. So after 2008, and I went from making $85,000 a year to $12,000 a year overnight because it collapsed, and I lost everything in the housing fiasco. And when not one banker in this country went to jail over it, I said, I'm done. I'm done. I'm going to go see if these lies are true. And I came down here, and I've been here ever since.
What state did you come from?
I came from the PRK.
PRK.
Yeah, People's Republic of California.
Okay, we both came from the same place. I ran away to Wyoming. Anticipating what things may happen about 12 or 13 years ago, in disgust over what California had become, or PRK as you call it, very adequately. Tim, you patrol an area that I think nobody does. Can you describe the geographical location, if that's okay and does not endanger you?
The cartel already knows exactly where we are. We're about 25 miles, 20 to 25 miles west of Nogales, up in the mountains. It's basically base elevation down there is at about 36 to 3,800 feet. Then the mountains go up from there. I have combat veterans, and when they come down there, they're going, dude, this is just like Afghanistan. It's just rocky, brutal, hostile terrain down on the line.
Well, then, Tim, obviously, terrain like that, it is not the average illegal alien that's going to be going through that area. It's somebody that's trying to avoid every method of being captured available.
Yeah. There is no flat land, and I've had cameras that will, once I find out where they are, I'll put a camera out. And then once I see them on the camera, I'll start, I'm a certified tracker, and so is about a half dozen or so of my guys. I'll start tracking their trail, and I'll put a camera mile or two north on that same trail, and I can watch them come and go. And so the dope mules, once they cross the line, usually it's about a 4 to 5 day trip up towards Tucson, and then a 4 to 5 day trip back. So your average person is not going to be able to hump 4 to 5 days it's nothing but mountains from here to Tucson. And the only way they can make it is the humanitarians, as they call themselves, leave food and water out for them. So they don't have to, in the summertime when it gets 110 plus, the average person will drink 2 gallons of water a day. So nobody's going to be able to carry 10 gallons of water to make the trip, and then 10 gallons of water to make it back. There's water drops every, half mile to mile.
And Tim, excuse me for interrupting you. When we're talking NGOs, non-government organizations, there's outfits like Catholic Charities. Are they active out there?
Not the Catholic Charities, but we have what we classify as the Antifa of the water droppers. They're young socialists.
They're lovely people.
They're called No More Deaths. And then we have the retired seniors that are suffering from white guilt, and those are the Green Valley Samaritans. And you can tell who puts out what water based on the organization. The Green Valley Samaritans are all seniors, so the water is never too far off of the road, any dirt road that's out there. Whereas if you hump 2-3 miles in from a road, you see water drops, you know that's the No More Deaths.
I see. So through your area, you've got a lot of drugs coming in.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Very good. And have you ever had a dialogue with these non-government organization groups?
Once with the Green Valley Samaritans, they came to the house and knocked on the door and wanted to talk to me and see what I was all about and everything else. And I said, sure, no problem. And we started going into something, and I told them, I says, look, this was a couple of years back. And I said, the other day, I went out to check my cameras, and I came across a 19-year-old Ecuadorian girl who had a dried blood coming out of her nose, had a black eye and a fat lip and everything else. And so I stopped and, rendered aid to her and was asking her, what happened. She said she came across the border the night before with 23, and when they went to lay up, which is, when they hunker down for the night, she said she was gang raped.
Yeah, that's very common.
By 23.
Mm-hmm.
And so I says, this is what I'm seeing to these humanitarians that were at my house. And their response was, well, they're told to take birth control pills
Oh
before
my
they
God.
make the crossing. And I said, so that makes it okay? I mean, what if it was your mother, your wife, your sister, your daughter, or one of your female relatives? Would you sit there and tell them, well, you should have taken birth control? Their mindset is just totally, I don't know where it is. I mean,
You bring up a good point because I've seen a lot of that. Say in California, we used to participate in protests weekly against illegal immigration, and we
mhm,
saw a lot of folks come out for the illegals. I could not believe it. And at that time, California was a mess, and it's an even bigger mess now.
yep,
Everywhere you go, there's Spanish everywhere. I currently have a former Marine friend who's working in Los Angeles and living in East Los Angeles. And he says even some of the policemen are now illegal aliens or,
yeah,
deferred
they
action.
just,
Yeah, DACA recipients, which are still
yep,
illegal aliens. They're
yep,
allowed to carry a gun. They don't have proper papers, but they're going to be asking you
yep,
for your ID. Everything is upside down.
yep.
Is it disheartening to you that more people are not stepping up to stop this? I mean, physically stopping it.
Uh, Not really. I mean, it's, I get people that say, oh, we should come down. I says, look, I've been here 14 years and I know this area like the back of my hand. This is my backyard because I live here.
Hmm.
And I've decided to do what I do. And if you don't know how it works down here, you can get in some serious, deep shit.
Oh, in areas like where you're at, there is not any doubt because of the presence of cartel. They are armed
Yep,
and they intend to impose their law upon everybody else, their will upon everybody else.
yep,
But now, when we look at the entirety of that Arizona border, that Texas border, it's been more than 30 years that people have been asking for relief from illegal immigration. And the one
yep,
thing that we have learned, and probably you will agree, the federal government will not help us. In fact, what we're seeing currently is quite the opposite.
yep,
They are bringing these people in with our money.
yep. I have a video on my phone that I took. I went over to Lukeville, Arizona,
Hmm.
where a lot of the media is now going because they're just coming through by the thousands. I got a 15-second video on my phone. It's a group of over 1,000 that came through the fence, and not one woman, not one child, and 90 some odd percent of them were from Africa, and they were from African, or they were from Muslim nations in Africa.
Hmm.
And once these groups pass through and they head to where Border Patrol's waiting for them, you can go back behind them and find hundreds upon hundreds of passports laying on the ground. They don't want to be identified.
Oh my God. Yes, people have been concerned over this, and some people think, and I I do think that it's a possibility that we may have something happen here like what occurred in Israel not very long ago. That if these people are given the word, we're going to have something really horrible unfold in the United States. And there's nobody to blame but the politicians themselves. Let me ask you about the governors. In my way of thinking, the whole illegal immigration dilemma has cost, as far as I know, more than 100,000 lives, where some of these people have killed, outright killed American citizens. I'm not even mentioning the whole fentanyl thing. That's just another thing.
That's
But
110,000 a year.
110,000 a year. You have elected officials that see this. They know this is going on. They are not friends of mine or my family, and they are not good for my country. The federal government will do nothing. So now let's go down to the governors. In all of the 50 states, again, I would say that actually do nothing. It's all window dressing. You have Greg Abbott right now. Some people get all up in a thing about Greg Abbott because he's holding one small park and not allowing Border Patrol to have operations there where in my opinion is he should arrest Border Patrol, get them off of the Texas border, and close that border down. What do you think?
Well, I deal with Border Patrol a lot, and they're 99.9% of them are pissed off at what's going on.
I believe that.
Their job.
I believe that, but they are bringing these people in. That's a fact.
It's because of the reason they're doing it is it's like they can't say, well, they could, but they'd be out of a job.
Exactly. And you know what?
They have families to feed.
My heart is with them on that. Regardless of that, they're bringing them in. Their savior would be a governor with the balls to chase them all off. And then I know those Border Patrolmen would be happy.
The savior would be the inept, useless Congress actually doing something instead of...
Tim, they will never do it. It's been 30 years.
I know. Well, look at, they're we're going to bring up impeachment for Mayorkas. And
it's a song and dance act. They'll replace him with somebody worse.
Why didn't you do it 3 years ago?
Why? Yes, exactly.
You know why? It's an election year.
It's an election year.
Look, we're doing something. So it's all the way at the top. I mean, I see a lot of people blaming Border Patrol, but it starts way at the top.
It does. I understand. Border Patrol guys, they have families they have to feed. They have medical bills. They need a job. And they are following orders. However, they are following orders that are to the detriment of this country. And what I'm saying is, if the governors had the fortitude to chase them out, say, get out of here, they would be doing those men a favor. They allow them reason to not be on that border because they should not be. They are forced to do the opposite of what I feel they would normally do.
Yeah.
And Greg Abbott isn't doing it. Arizona isn't doing it. California isn't doing it. I don't know of a governor in this nation that is willing to protect the people of his or her state. Zero. None. Unless you know of one, let me know and we can discuss that, because I would still say there's nobody.
Now, are you familiar with the Cloward Piven strategy?
Sure. Load everything up, put them all on welfare, destroy the economy totally and completely. We're there.
Well, it's basically the premise of it is Cloward and Piven were a husband and wife team out of UC Berkeley when Pelosi was all getting their start back in the 60s. Mm-hmm. And the Cloward Piven strategy is if you bring enough impoverished people into a nation with wealth, that after a certain amount of people come in, that nation cannot sustain that. Mm-hmm. And the country collapses and turns into a socialist country. And so what is happening is that's happening, but they do not want critical thinkers anymore. They want obedient serfs. Mm-hmm. This is why they're giving them more rights than citizens. You're last on the totem pole now.
Oh,
like you said, the LAPD, there's 27 DACA in their police academy right now. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's going on. If you look at California, every illegal in the state gets free medical, but citizens don't.
Yes. Look, I understand it is clearly a dive towards socialism or communism, and I would share with you that my point of origin was Guantanamo, Cuba, and I got here about 2 years before Fidel Castro took over. I consider myself an American. I don't have ties to Cuba in any way, but there is a curiosity about how what they call socialism or communism or their revolution worked out. It sucks. It was a country where you could eat and sleep, and now it is an absolute hellhole. I would say that Cuba is the North Korea of the Caribbean, And people are very, very unhappy. They have no weapons to fight the government off with. And there's not enough food to go around. And that's what socialism does. It
Yeah.
creates
Well,
shortages and misery.
well, look who's in charge of the DHS, Mayorkas.
Mayorkas. He was
He's a
born in
Cuban
Cuba.
immigrant.
1 year old he was when he was brought into the United States. And
But he's the Castro Cuban. He believes in Castro.
There is something about him that is not right. And there's something about the entirety of the Congress that's not right, because I see them bring this clown there. He smirks, he laughs, and it's an ongoing floor show. This guy, along with Biden and a bunch of other people, should be tried for the crimes that they're obviously committing every single day that cost American lives. They should have the trial and tried for treason. And then, you know what? The thing that has to happen should happen. This is the reality that we are living with, which is it's all a floor show. I've seen enough. I've seen enough people die. Interviewed enough mothers whose kids were killed by some illegal who would not have been able to do that if immigration law were enforced. Cops are not allowed to ask any questions of these people when they encounter them. You know, Tim, I sort of have a heavy foot or a lead foot when I drive, so I get stopped here and there. And I talk to these cops, and I ask the question, what do you do with these people? He said, we can't do anything.
Yeah, their morale is down just like Border Patrols.
Exactly.
They're taking the wind out of the sails of any type of law enforcement. I mean, look at the big cities, the roaming gangs of snatch and grab, you know.
Sure.
Society is collapsing.
Because we are, you know, it's like, the Border Patrol guys, they're following their orders. And we, in the cities where, as you mentioned, where we saw Black Lives Matter, Antifa burning things down and everything, we too, in a sense, are following what we are told to do, which is stand down. Really, that's a reality of it. We had one kid. I don't know if you remember that kid's name. He was out there with an AR-15.
Yeah.
And I wish I could remember his name. And they put him through a nightmare for defending himself and others.
Yep, but they were defending the felon who pulled a pistol on him and shot him blew his bicep off.
Yes, the kid blew the guy's bicep off. And I wish I could remember his name. I think he was only 17 at the time or something like that.
Yep.
And luckily things worked out for him. But boy, I'm telling you, he got an education, and so did the rest of us. So I don't see that there is a solution to this as long as we follow orders from the federal government.
What I see, part of the problem is people got really comfortable with that moniker of the silent majority. Mm-hmm. Well, silence is consent. Silence is death. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I tried to rally people in the cities, you know, to say, look, it's time to say something, stand up. Well, you know, I got to work. Well, if you don't do something, you're not going to have a freaking job. It's all going to go away. But people are so, I've seen that, I got a lot of street smarts and been around the world a few times, and but people will not do anything unless they feel it's directly affecting them. Yet they do not realize it is already directly affecting them. I just read a report that came out of Congress in September or October. The cost of the border is $451 billion a year between housing, transporting, jails, medical, everything else. There's a hospital in Colorado that's about ready to shut down because they have $160 million in the past year of unpaid illegal medical bills. There's one in Yuma that's about ready to shut down too. So by the amount of people that are coming in, we cannot sustain it because our healthcare system already sucks.
That's true.
And by adding another 12 million on top of the, who knows, 20 million that have already come across. And it's non-sustainable.
Mm-hmm.
We can, and I've been called everything in the book: racist, Nazi, freaking vigilante.
I've had the same.
You know, and I tell media that this is not about race; it's about sustainability. We can't keep doing this. We are a giving nation. You know, when there's a natural disaster anywhere on the planet, who gives out the most money? And who is usually the first one there with aid? The United States. You know, but what is going on is insane. This is part of a plan. This is what they want, and we are not the only ones suffering from this.
It is a global thing.
But if you look at it closely, they're only going to white European Christian nations. If you look at it even closer, they're only going to NATO nations. So who's behind all this, and why are they doing this? You know, Europe is being inundated with Muslims from every country.
Mm-hmm.
Why aren't they going to Muslim countries? Because the Muslim countries don't even want those people.
No, but it is an on-purpose eradication of culture itself, even through the numbers that have brought in. For example, in California, there are areas that are no longer American. They are Hispanic. All kinds of different people from Spanish-speaking countries have moved into neighborhoods that were formerly white, American, English-speaking, and those moved out. And what you got now is you've got yourself a barrio, something that resembles Mexico, Nicaragua, or someplace, but not the United States.
Well, you go to Minneapolis.
Yes, Somalians.
Somali. You know, it's like I say, it's I am hoping we can make it to the next election, and Border Patrol and law enforcement is hoping we can make it to the next election. But I really doubt that we will be able to. I
very much agree. Everybody is waiting in anticipation and with great anxiety about an event that will be loosened upon us here in the United States to stop that election from happening, because they will not allow Donald Trump to run for the presidency. They cannot allow that. They won't allow it.
The way I look at it, I'm thinking somewhere around March, April, because if you look at it in military tactics, that's when spring offensives start.
Mm.
The weather gets nice, and so they're just prepping now through the winter.
Yes.
Spring offensive is coming.
Now, you've seen people with weapons out in your area that are not American citizens. What's that all about?
Right now, directly south of me, I'm about 8 miles from the border. And there's two cartels right now fighting it out for the rights to the trails right there. Because it's some of the most lucrative dope and smuggling routes, human-wise also, on the whole entire border. And so we'll go down there and we can sit on the hilltops, and we're less than quarter mile from the fence and less than a quarter mile on the south side. They sit on their mountaintops, and we'll watch them have firefights. And I've got, you go to the YouTube channel, you'll see one cartel goes in and intercepts the other cartel's dope load going through. They were,
God, they're stealing from each other.
Yeah, rip crew. And then you've got on camera, and it's on my YouTube channel, the guy almost stands on top of my camera with a AK-47.
Oh.
And so it's a very, very sketchy area of the border. They're not afraid because there's no border patrol there anymore. They control the border. We don't. And I'm sorry about that. I just got a report couple days ago, and 3 miles to the east of me, there's an abandoned ranch. Mm-hmm. And one of the people who lives in the ranch next to it says that she leaves every Thursday and won't come back until Sunday night because of the amount of guys walking by with long rifles. Mm. And they're all in camouflage, and they're all cartel.
Do you have access to this person? And we don't want any names or anything here. Do you have access to this person?
I do.
Okay, I'll talk to you later about that.
I've already asked. She's in fear of her life if she says anything, so she's not going to talk.
Okay.
But so we're getting ready to set up and go sit on hilltops and all the way around that ranch and keep an eye on it and see what we see. Mm-hmm. When we go out, all my guys and myself included, we wear body cameras so that we can record things, because we want to make sure that if something ever goes down, that the government can't say, oh, well, you killed him in cold blood. And it's like, nope, I got an SD card right here that proves otherwise. So we've been here for so long that we know the razor thin line that we can walk where they can't do anything to us and we can still allow to be out there doing what we do. I've been accused of ripping off drugs, money, holding people hostage and things like that. And I said, do you actually think in 14 years, after being given a colonoscopy by every alphabet out there, that I'd still be walking the streets if I was doing anything wrong? And so everybody knows we're well known. And so we have to maintain a strict code on what we do and how we do it. And I mean, if you go onto our website, Arizona Border Recon, we're very transparent. We even post our rules of engagement and our standard operating procedures for everyone to see.
And what is your website? And folks are interested.
The website is ArizonaBorderRecon.org.
Okay, and you also have a presence on Facebook.
Yep, that would be Arizona Border Recon, and also on YouTube, Arizona Border Recon. I'm still trying to figure out Instagram.
Well, let me tell you something. I'm surprised they allow you on YouTube, because I've been crashed quite a number of times and lost all kinds of material.
You see, I have every alphabet in the world watching me, so they want to see what I'm.
I see. Okay.
I've never been, what do they call it, Facebook jail. Never been put in Facebook jail. Everybody goes, how can you never be in? I said, because they're watching me.
Yeah, that does make sense. That is a logical conclusion. Donald Trump, when he became president, he had initially promised, he even said, I will make illegal aliens get out of here so fast that their head is going to spin. He didn't do it. He kept emphasizing the border wall, border wall, border wall. Fine. And I became angry because, to me, it was a sort of con. And I like Donald Trump, and I will vote for Donald Trump. But he didn't do he did not do what he said he was going to do. If by a miracle of God he makes it to be the president of the United States again, do you think he'll do good on his promise? Right now he's made bold statements about having the most massive deportations ever.
I think he will, because, he couldn't follow through with tossing people out until we got the damn fence up. Because basically, you can throw them out in Nogales, they'll go a day or so west or east and come through, because I never, since I've been here, never thought I would ever see a fence out where I see a fence.
It's a great thing. I disagree with you respectfully. I know that the Border Patrol wanted the fence. Donald Trump made that happen. Good for him.
It could have got it completed if Congress didn't keep
Interfering.
Stopping.
You know what? I agree with everything you're saying, but I would say that he didn't do it for, I don't know what reason. You would have to ask him why he did not initialize deportations on a massive scale.
Because if the fence wasn't there, you got a revolving door. It's there. We got miles and miles before that thing
If they know that they're going to get tossed, and part of getting tossed is they're fingerprinted, and if they get caught again, they're going to do some hard time doing hard work, nothing prissy. Everything changes, and I am very much for the wall.
But okay, really, because I've
all right, we have a fundamental disagreement in terms of why he didn't do it.
Let me give you an example of them coming back and giving him doing time. Mm-hmm. We grabbed a guy years back, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, and we're going to turn him over to Border Patrol. And he goes, "Are you going to call Border Patrol?" I says, "Yeah." He goes, "Good." And I says, "Why is it good?" He goes, "Well, I've been deported multiple times, and I'm going to do over a year in prison." But he needed back surgery. He says when he goes to prison, they'll do the back surgery on him.
No, so I understand all this stuff, but
they play
the system, they play the game. Yeah. But let me even add something more. That what Donald Trump should have done was to have posted the military on the border so they cannot come in to begin with. Some people say, "Oh, policy comitatus, you can't do that." Well, this is an invasion, at least as many people define it. Maybe a legal dictionary doesn't say that, but it is costing lives. Put the military on the border, okay? Deport these people. They will not come back. You have people that came in on visas, and they overstay the visa. They've come in on an airplane. They didn't hop the border. But they, too, are here illegally. If every cop in the United States, county cop, state cop, federal cop, city cop, is empowered to detain these people when they are found, if they can't get light or water or anything like that for residences, if they cannot get a place to stay at, they're not going to be here. If they are not given a medical treatment when they want it because they're here illegally, they're not going to be here. Well,
it was tried in Arizona 10 or so years ago under our pile, SB 1070. And holy crap, everybody and their brother blew up. "Oh my God, that's racist!" And it's why?
Well, the Fed stepped in. I remember the time. I remember Arpaio, and the Fed said, "You cannot do this."
Right, and so that's what makes it hard. Is that the federal government has overstepped its bounds.
Indeed, it has.
Where the states are supposed to control what happens in their state, not the federal government, but it's become so convoluted.
Yeah, well, the feds always claim that immigration is a federal issue, but the consequences are 100% local, as many people say. So, look, we are a dying nation. That is obvious. Children are subject to the ills that come from drugs that are brought in that might kill them, a stranger that might rape them. Here, I'm in Wyoming. Tim, I'm in Wyoming because I didn't like all that stuff in California. And even here, we had an illegal alien who had come in twice in spacing of 10 years. The first time he came in, he raped a little girl. The second time he came in, he raped a little girl. He raped her so bad, they had to fly her over to Utah to get surgery to get her all put together. So this guy was here twice, and he was working in the oil fields here in Wyoming. We have about 8,000 illegal aliens here, I'm told, and this is evidence of what this federal government and what the governors are allowing to happen. In my opinion, all of these politicians are accessories to the crimes of murder, pedophilia, human trafficking, you name it. They are part of it. And unfortunately, I do agree with a lot of people who say that the only thing that's going to solve this problem is a violent revolution. It's not that I want such a thing. It looks like such a thing is inevitable, or we will die. Simple as that.
Yep. Right there, 100%.
Well, let's hope that we have the will to change this around in peace, and how we will do that, I do not know. I have high hopes that, as I say, through a miracle of God, Donald Trump will become president and will do good on his promise to deport all of these people, because if he doesn't, we're done. It's as simple as that. We are done. Tim, I want to thank you for the interview. Give me some closing words, something that you want folks to hear, please.
Well, let me see. People need to, people are looking for leaders. People to stand up, get off the couch and say, follow me. I was one of those people, and people go, well, I'm just one man. What can I do? I says, I was just one man. One becomes two, two becomes four, four becomes eight. And, my organization got so big about 3 years ago, I eliminated 265 volunteers. It was just getting too big to handle. Mm-hmm. So I cut it back down, and now I kept my core group of guys, and I've opened up the process again, and we're probably at about 7 or so dozen. Mm-hmm. And I get applications all the time. But in the time I've been out here, I've been raided by the FBI. I've been put on a no-fly list. I've been infiltrated 3 times in the organization by feds, and I knew they were feds, and everybody knew they were feds. But people are afraid of the government. And I says, there's nothing to be afraid of if you're not doing anything wrong. And if you stand, they can knock me down. They've knocked me down half a dozen times. But I stand right back up and say, I'm still here. I'm still doing it.
Well, that is fantastic. What I would add to that is that what I see is that, yes, of course, people fear the federal government, but I'm seeing that fear is being replaced by anger in such a degree that the fear of the government is going to become something that is not even to be noticeable. Something is going to happen in this country, and I would hope that the patriots, the good American people, are able to restore order and decency to our country, which is a great one, but is on the brink of extinction. Yep. Tim, thank you so much. God bless. Is there a place that people can send you donations, sir?
Yeah, we have there's a donate page on our website, or they can go to Give, Send, Go, Tim Foley. Somebody, Patriot organization out of Utah set that up a couple, 3 or so years ago. And,
very good, sir. Thank you. God bless. Be careful out there, Tim. Bye-bye.
Will do. Thank you much.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening, and special thanks to the good folks at Arizona Border Reconnaissance. May God bless all of you, protect all of you out there doing that work. And may God bless and protect the United States of America. This is indeed a time of need. Please plan on voting. Some people say that it's not going to do. The voting is all crooked. I think it is, but there is a record that will be left of your vote so that we can understand what voting really was, no matter how they screw it up. And if you don't vote, they will win legitimately. They will. So please do vote. Get out and vote for President Trump in 2024. And let's get behind him, and let's make sure that he deports all illegal aliens, which means that we'll be getting rid of a lot of terrorists and a lot of bad guys that are here to do us and our families harm. Anyway, thank you for listening, and you take care. Bye-bye.
Goodbye, my love. You told me I heard you found some